All right, now it's 9:30. So hello, everybody. Welcome back to Comp 2450 Software Development 1. Um, uh, as we started with last class, what I like to do with my classes is just give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about and what you should expect to be able to do by the end of today's class. We are still pretty firmly in like course overview and review mode right now. So there's not new stuff that we're covering today. We're in a bit of an awkward situation with the other section where they have had only one class and we have two classes this week. So we're going to have a little bit more time to do a bit of basic Java review in today's class. And so what I want you to be able to do by the end of today's class is know a little bit more about the course project. So it was a pretty hasty end of class, me throw a Mentimeter up and give you a chance to ask questions, and then me actually only be able to see 3 of those questions. And I'd like to actually give you some time to ask questions about the project and about the course, especially because you've now had a couple of days to kind of sit and think about the stuff that we talked about in Wednesday's class. And the other thing that I want to spend some time working on today is taking a look at some of the stuff that you might have done in Comp 1020. This is not going to be a comprehensive overview of Comp 1020. 1020 was a course that was 4 months long, and we're going to be doing something in like 30 minutes. So we're not going to be covering everything in Comp 1020. My goal here really is, it might have been a while since you've done Java stuff, so let's get some of the dust off of your fingers and get like typing and public static void main string args back into your editor, and then start building some classes and that sort of thing, and start thinking about keywords like encapsulation. Do we all remember what encapsulation means? One person is nodding their head right now. Yeah, okay. So thumbs up. Yes, we remember what encapsulation means. We will remember in a moment, at least, what encapsulation means, and we will spend some time thinking about things like visibility modifiers on properties of classes and class methods and that sort of thing. So first things first, I want to give you an opportunity to ask me some questions about the course projects. I'm reusing the same Mentimeter as last time, so the questions that were asked last class should still be there. So I will kind of work on the questions that were asked last time. I'm also still quite happy to have you ask questions verbally. If you just want to raise your hand and ask a question, I'm more than happy to answer that. And I'll come back to this slide in just a second, but while you're asking questions, what I wanted to do was tell you a little bit about what you told me that you're expecting from this course. So I'm going to go back up to the QR code here so that you can scan it if you want to take a look at the, if you want to get into the Mentimeter. But I wanted to share with you some of the things that I saw. So one of the things that I saw a lot of was kind of summarized as effectively learn useful stuff. Learn useful stuff. I want to learn stuff that's useful. And this is most of the ones that I picked out that were kind of like learn useful stuff, which is most of the responses that people gave me. There was some small implication in some of them that not all courses teach you useful stuff in computer science. Some small implication of that. And I know you weren't necessarily coming to this class today looking for like university advice, but I know that when I was a student and I took comp sci courses here, it very much felt like it was a random selection of courses that I was signing up for every year, and it was not exactly clear to me how things connected to each other and how courses were related to each other. I took 74208, which is Comp 2080. I took it in the summer. It was like a 6-week course in the summer with 100% final. That was not a good time. That was not a good time. And it was just like, it feels like these are all just random courses that are smooshed together in the hopes of forming somebody. And I've got a lot more experience since that time. And I guess what I would advise, and this is not something I ever heard anyone tell me, so I kind of want to give this advice of, it's hard in the moment. It's hard always in the moment to know like this course is actually fitting into the bigger picture somehow, but if it's possible, it's very easy for me to say this, and it's hard for people to actually do it, and I can't always take my own advice here, but if it's possible for you to do this, just take a moment to step up and like look at it from a holistic perspective, how all these courses are fitting together. One of the things that we're going to do in this course a little bit later in the term is to start thinking about things like how our design choices are affecting the environment. I'd like to invite one of our research tenure track faculty to come and talk to you at some point during that week. But one of the ways that that kind of fits into this course is in the form of courses like Comp 2080 and Comp 2140, where you're learning about algorithms and data structures. And one of the things that you're learning about when you're thinking about algorithms and data structures, I'm going to quickly ask, do you remember the symbol big O notation from 1010 and 1020? Okay, yeah. Different algorithms and data structures have different big O notations. They have different performance characteristics. They do a different number of operations. Operations cost energy. And the things that you're learning about in those courses kind of fall back and fit back into this course in that sense. Like you're learning more about big O of stuff, and I'm not going to talk too much about big O of stuff in this course, but the stuff you're learning there does affect other courses that you're working on. So wherever you're going in the future, try to look at this from a holistic perspective of courses as like they're all actually working together. The thing that you get out of some courses might ultimately be, wow, I really hate that, but you're getting something out of those courses. Another thing that I saw a lot was about learning more about programming and learning new programming languages. In this course, we're going to just use Java. We're not learning any new programming languages. In past years, before this course was offered, we taught the first software development course in C and using Linux and Unix to do that. And some people's eyes light up immediately, and lots of other people's eyes don't really change. And then some people's eyes immediately just like close and cringe because they know what that means. The problem that I had with that course, and I love that course for the records, the problem that I had with that course is that often the language got in the way of the concepts. The language got in the way of the stuff that we're actually going to be talking about in this course and the good practices that we're going to be trying to share with you about programming. So we're not going to do any new programming languages in this course. However, in Comp 2452, my current plan for that course is that we're going to be doing that course in TypeScript. So we're going to be moving to a different programming language in Comp 2452. I saw actually a few different people asking about, like, I want to learn to do databases and I want to learn to do GUIs and that sort of thing. And I emphatically have to say we're going to do all that stuff in Comp 2452. The focus in this course is going to be about programming practices and kind of like design and focusing on this cycle of software development. I'm going to ask informally. I'm not asking for any feedback from you right now, but let me know if you want to let me know later, either by email or coming and talking to me in my office. But there's kind of a strange situation with registration for Comp 2450 and then Comp 2452 in the form of Comp 2450, the course we're in right now, has pretty big wait lists for this term. But Comp 2452 in the winter has open seats in one of the sections. It's had 40 open seats and no wait lists. And I'm not really sure why that is. And I'm not sure that anyone in our department really knows why that is. So I'd like to know if there's some reason why. If you want to share now, please, sure. But
like 2450 to clear it for 2452.
Yes.
And you can register on 2450.
That's right, yes. But there are 220 people registered in 2450 and I think 180 registered in 2452. Yeah, so there's kind of this weird imbalance. But we will get to that. So we will get to databases and we will get to GUIs in that course. Another one that I saw lots of included the word structure, like basically wanting to spend more time thinking about how to structure software. And I was really delighted to see this because I don't think I used the word structure much in the class on Wednesday. Maybe I did and I've just forgotten, but I don't remember using the word structure a lot. And I was really, really happy to see the word structure showing up in lots of these. There were lots of people that are looking for a little bit of like personal growth, and I want to read a couple of these out to you to kind of give you a sense of what that is. I want to know what it's like to complete my very first project. I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was cool to see that. Like I think that's important to see that. I hope to come out of this course feeling more confident in planning and developing larger projects. And feeling more confident here is a key word to me. Like, I don't know about all of you, but I suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. And I suffered from imposter syndrome a lot when I was a student. Imposter syndrome is this idea that like you look around the class and everyone is better than you, but you don't know why. And I felt that a lot when I was a student. I felt that a lot when I was a grad student. I continue to feel that feeling today when I look around at my colleagues and in our university and in other universities. But I don't know, over time it gets better, and then I can kind of share that lots of people feel that way. Lots and lots of people feel that way too. Yeah, improving skills, gaining confidence. Gaining confidence is something that came up a few times, and so lots of people are looking for something like that. I ask for this exit slip idea a lot, and one of the common things that comes up is I want to get an A+. I want to get an A+. I want to get an A. I want to get an A or an A+. I want to get an A, and I want to get a good grade. And then one person actually just wrote the word help, which I would think was related to that. And then another person wrote I pray, and they underlined the word pray to survive. This course is not going to intend to be, it doesn't intend to be, I can't promise, of course, but I don't intend this to be a punishing course. I don't intend this to be a tricky course. This is a course that I want you to get good skills and good practice from. All right, okay, so that's enough of me shouting at you. I'm gonna pop over to the Mentimeter here, and I've got a picture up on the screen here, and I'm gonna ask you a question about this picture. And my question is ultimately going to be, where is this? This is a photo that I took in the city of Winnipeg within the Perimeter Highway. But I'm going to pop back here because I really want to take a closer look at this picture. And I'm not sure if you can see it quite yet, but I'm going to zoom in right here. And I thought this was just like this delightful situation. So my question for you about this squirrel pilot is, where is this squirrel pilot? Pick a spot on the map. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to pick a spot on the map here. This is a fairly uniform distribution of spots all over the city. All right, I mean, the big hint here, and I realize that this is quite small, but this is the airport. The big hint is that it's an airplane that this squirrel pilot is in. And let me show you where this is. So this, if I get my map here, and I zoom in just a little bit over here, this is in the Air Force Heritage Museum and Air Park, and this is located just off of Ness Avenue. And if I turn around here, there's actually a bunch of airplanes and helicopters and stuff, and this is the airplane that that little squirrel is flying. This is a pretty cool place to go. It's on just off of a bike path. I like to go there with my kids sometimes when we're out biking. All right, okay, so thank you for participating in this, and thank you for giving me all these answers on the exit slips. I really appreciate that. So I want to spend some time answering questions that were asked last time, and I want to spend some time answering any questions that you might have about the project kind of going forward here. And so the first question that I was not able to answer last time was, are we only going to use Java 8? I plan to use features in Java up to Java 17, I think. Planning to use things like record classes. We'll talk about this in a couple weeks. I'm planning to use things like records. I'm planning to use things like the var keyword. I think that you used var in 1020. We'll use the var keyword today, and I'll give you a sense of what that looks like. I'm planning to use some of these features. When I'm planning to use a feature in Java that I don't think that you've seen before, we will spend time in class talking about it. I'm not going to just drop you into the JDK and tell you to figure it out. We'll spend a little bit of time taking a look at that together. Oh gosh, okay. Is it normal to feel like someone's ahead of you in coding? Like people are talking fancy stuff and already we feel dumb? Yes, it is super normal. And again, imposter syndrome. I promise you, I'm not like making this up just as a show. I definitely feel this way often in my life. And I think this is a pretty normal thing to feel. I felt this way a lot when I was an undergrad student. And I felt this way a lot when I was a grad student. I felt this even more when I was a grad student because the people that you're working with when you're a grad student are like, they're going deep into other topics that you don't know anything about. And they start talking about it like they know so much about it. And you have no idea what they're talking about sometimes. If you're in this course, what I will say is that you've demonstrated that you can do Java programming. You've demonstrated that you can do some math stuff. You've demonstrated that you can do the prerequisites to get into this course. If you're registered in this course, or if you're eligible to be registered in this course, you're in the right spot. And there's lots of people that are in the same place as you right now. Can we hack? I still don't know what that means. I remember there was a question about the YouTube channel. Can we hack? Can you hack? I guess, if you want, but yeah. Will each of the three choices of the project have a more thorough description of what's needed to implement, and how should it work? What should a program do at the end? Yes, absolutely. We're going to share these project descriptions, the initial project descriptions, with you next week, but they are going to be fairly detailed in terms of what we're expecting you to accomplish. So a little bit better idea of what the project is than the one-word descriptions I gave you last class. That's not enough to do a project. But there's also going to be things that we're just going to tell you, you have to do this thing. You have to do this thing because as a 2000 level course, there's got to be some level of arbitrary complexity in terms of what we're expecting you to be able to do by the end of the course. So we are going to give you more detailed descriptions of each of the three projects next week so that you'll have a chance to take a look at them and make a choice about which one you want to accomplish, and then to give you some expectations of what your coach should do. We're not going to be giving you lots of structure in the same way that you might have seen in 1010 and 1020. I'm not going to tell you to implement this class and these methods. That's going to be part of your job to do as part of what we're doing in this course in terms of making decisions about those things. What do we do if we have Java 21? If you have Java 21, then you already have everything for Java 17, and it shouldn't be a problem. If you have something that's much newer than what I'm talking about as a base level for Java, then you're good to go. The problem shows up if you still have something like Java 8 installed. If you are having any trouble with your Java installation, you are welcome to come talk to me during my student meeting times, and I can try to help you out. The other thing that I would suggest is the computer science department has a help center. Has anybody been to the help center before? Yeah, okay, so awesome. Lots of people have been to the help center. The help center is up on the 4th floor of this building, and there's an old computer lab, I guess, that's at the end of the hallway and kind of the main hallway where the elevators are. There are some grad students and undergrad students that are staffing in there that can definitely help you out. These are 3,000 to 4,000 level students. Yeah. The help center should be open now. Yes, I believe it's open now. I'm not sure what their hours are, but they're posted on the door of the help center itself. Yeah. No experience with GitHub. What should I do? Don't worry about it. That's what I'd say about that, is just don't worry about it. I am going to post things on a version control repository. I'm not using GitHub. I'm going to be using something called GitLab, which is a locally hosted version of GitHub. But you won't need to do anything independently here. In the textbook that I've linked to, the Tools and Techniques textbook, I describe a lot about how to use version control. I'm going to use version control and demonstrate it in the class. I'll try to verbalize what I'm doing when I do it, but ultimately you don't need to use version control for this course. The examples that I'm sharing are on a web page that you can see what the code looks like without having to use version control tools for that. So you don't need to do anything for that. What book for practice at coding would you suggest for this course? I'm really bad at coding. I'm really bad at coding too. And I'm only partly saying that as a joke. I'm not like the best programmer in the world. I'm never going to say anything like that. What book would I suggest for practice of coding? I guess it depends on what kind of practice you're looking for. If you're looking for practice of like just rote practice of how do I write Java classes, I guess my advice here would mainly be like just keep up with class. Keep up with the class material that we're working on for that. For programming practices, I'm recommending 2 books on the course webpage, The Pragmatic Programmer and Clean Code. I think for undergrad students, I'd recommend Clean Code over The Pragmatic Programmer. That would be a good book to take a look at. The library, the Defoe library, has one copy of each of those books for all 220 of you. This is not a required textbook, but I'll touch my nose here and say, if you search for the title of the book, you find it. You'll find it somewhere on the internet. You'll find a copy of it somewhere on the internet. But if you want to support the author because you really like the book, I'd suggest that you buy it at some point.
No lead codes.
Leet codes, I guess, like, gosh, leet codes. I don't personally know very much about leet codes. I'm old enough to have missed that. I didn't have to do any of that stuff, and I'm grateful for that. And I feel terrible for you that you have to do it, but that might be a good place to look as well. Will the grade cutoffs be curved? In computer science, we don't generally curve things. Like, we're not trying to fit a curve. We're not trying to get our grades to fit a normal or uniform distribution or anything like that. The grade cutoffs can be changed, and the way that they can be changed is generally in the form of we will make them lower in situations where, for example, there are no A pluses. That's not really a fair assessment to students, so we want to make sure that we're going to lower things so that it actually accurately reflects what students have done in the course. Typically, though, the grade cutoffs are changed in the form of, like, somebody has gotten 94.97. Yes, let's give that person an A plus. Somebody has gotten 79.99999. Yes, let's give that person an A or whatever the cutoff is. So, like, trying to account for there's a grading error somewhere. Let's just give that person the correct or appropriate letter grade for what they've got. But we don't try to like fit into a bell curve or a normal distribution or anything like that. If 2400, 2450, and 2452 is replacing 2150 and 2160, does that mean we have to do one extra major course? Both the major and honors program, yes, do have one additional programming course at the 2000 level. That is true. And this is partly meant to address some concerns that people had at the 3000 and 4000 level in terms of just the practice of programming that students have had. So to give you more time and credit for actually spending practicing programming stuff. That's one of the goals that we have with that. Are quizzes done in class on paper or online like in 1010? My plan right now is to give you pieces of paper to write the quizzes on. Some of the quizzes, especially the first week, when we're talking about kind of like visualizing classes and stuff, I probably ask you to draw a picture of something. So it's going to be a lot easier to do that with pen and paper or pencil and paper than it is to do it with a computer. Yeah.
Will there be coding on paper as well?
Coding on paper, that's a good question. Possibly, yes. If there is coding on paper, I will immediately right now emphasize that I don't care about things like syntax very much. I don't care about things like semicolons. That stuff is not important to me. Your IDE or your editor tell you at this point. I believe that you can program. I'm not trying to assess that you can program anymore. I'm looking more for the higher level things. So there might be some coding, but it's going to be like to assess whether or not you've accomplished something like that. Yeah. Do we need both IntelliJ and Eclipse? No, definitely not. If you want to try them both, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, I'm going to use IntelliJ in class. So if you want to follow along with what I'm doing in class, then choose IntelliJ by default. If you want to try them, install them both, but you really only need one or the other in this course. Do I have a GitHub profile? Yes, I have a GitHub profile. I don't know that this would be a good place to look for the correct style of coding, because one of the things that's on there is my grad studies project. And while that might be historically interesting, it's a really bad example of what you should do. That's the best I can say about that. One thing that I do have on my GitHub is my my Linux profile stuff. That's, if you're interested in that, you can take a look. But I can share that with you on a piece by piece basis if you're interested in that. Are there multiple types of structure diagrams, or will it be required to use one type? So in this course, we're going to be talking about a kind of way to express these diagrams called UML. That's the thing that we're going to be using in this course. And when I'm demonstrating this, I'm going to be using a piece of software that will help us draw these diagrams out so that we don't have to draw them by hand. There are multiple different kinds of diagrams like this, but we're only going to be looking at one in this course, at least at the beginning. What we'll be working on Fridays, the course project or additional tasks. So my goal with Fridays is that you can either work on the course project or additional tasks at your discretion. I will prompt you, like I'm going to tell you what you should be able to have finished by the end of the Friday class. And if you are uncertain about what you could be working on in terms of your project, I'll try to give something that's tangible. Like, if you can't do this in your project, then try to work on this thing right now. But the big goal here is to give you an opportunity to have some interaction with TAs and instructor in a way that's going to be able to give you some feedback if you need that feedback. Yes, so I have office hours on Mondays and Wednesdays at just after this class, so from 10:30 to 11:30 in my office upstairs. And like I said, if that time doesn't work for you because you have another class, please feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to make appointments. Also, if my door is open, you're free to just like knock on my door and let me know and come in. Generally, if my door is open in my office and it's not office hours time, that just means like, yeah, it's okay to come talk to me. If my door is closed, that usually just means I'm not there. I'm not in my office at all. Can we think of the project as a 10/20 project? Yeah, that's one way to think of it. We're still going to build on some new stuff from 10/20. Like I said, there's going to be some additional stuff that you haven't seen in Comp 10/20 just because of the scale of what this project is. But I'm going to do my best to make sure that we're working together on that. So one example of this is packages in Java. You may not have used packages in Comp 10/20. You might have, but you were probably more often than not told not to use packages explicitly in 10/20 because it messes with compiling your code. We're going to use packages in this course, and so we're going to have to spend time talking a little bit about what that actually means in terms of organize your code. How would I recommend taking notes in this class? That's a really good question. I am personally terrible at taking notes. And so I may not be the best person to ask advice for about this. As I said last week, one of the things that I do in my courses is anything that I'm doing in the class, I will share with you. So any code that I'm writing or any pictures that I'm drawing or any diagrams that I create with code, I'm going to put up in some way that's accessible to you so that you don't have to like feverishly draw what it is that I'm drawing if you don't want to. You definitely can, and I think that's a valuable thing to do. So like if for nothing else than to kind of keep up with what's happening. But I'd say that anything that I'm putting up on the screen may not be something that I'm waiting to hear if somebody says hello. Anything that I put up on the screen, I'd say like, don't worry about it. I'm going to share it with you. If it helps you learn better or retain that information better by writing it down, then do it. But don't like feel like you missed something if you don't get it down right away. So 2400 is a prerequisite for Comp 2452. So the two prerequisites for 2452 are Comp 2400 and Comp 2450. Yes. The phases are going to be submitted to UMLearn. Yeah, so there'll be assignment folders that you'll submit your work to on UMLearn. Yeah. I look like Ryan Reynolds. That's very flattering. I don't think I have the abdominal muscles that Ryan Reynolds has, and I certainly don't have a Deadpool costume at home. But thank you. There's one thumbs up on that too. Awesome. How do we get Maven on our computers and laptops? So when you install IntelliJ, it will come with everything that you need. If you have any problems installing IntelliJ, again, I'm happy to help you, but the Help Center is another good place to go if you're having trouble with that. You can install Maven as a separate tool if you want to, but you don't need to if you're going to work with IntelliJ. I have no idea. That's a great question, but please do not break into that airplane. I definitely didn't tell you to do that. We're not doing anything with C. Oh gosh, I did not mean to scare anybody. No, we are not doing anything with C in this course. It's all going to be in Java in this course. Yes, the answer to this question is yes. You don't have to declare the type necessarily of variables. You don't have to say int something equals 42. You just say var something equals 42. That's the main thing that we got with var. But like I said, I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, that's fair. Thanks for sharing that feedback. I will share it back with the department. No, unfortunately, we're not going to do anything with Unreal or Unity. There is a course that's being offered next term, question mark. It's a topics course next term with Dan Ray, where there's gaming. Is it next term? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a winter term.
Yeah.
It's in go. Yeah, it's in go.
Okay.
It's full, but the wait list is, there's like not many people on the wait
Okay.
list. So.
Okay. So there'll be some gaming course. There will be a gaming course next year, but unfortunately, no, we're going to be stuck to text in this course. I mean, we will be using JSON later in the term. I'll talk about that more later when we get to that point, but we're not going to be using it initially in the course. The first quiz that we're going to have is next Friday. So I updated the course schedule yesterday afternoon up on the course webpage to include all the dates where we're going to have quizzes. There's going to be a week where we will not have a quiz in this section, and the other section will have a week where they don't have a quiz on a different week. But the quizzes are all scheduled up on the course schedule. Yeah. I think it's 2060. Yeah, it's a topics in computer science at the 2000 level. No, the three phases that you're going to be submitting are to UMLearn. So these are things that you're going to be submitting on UMLearn kind of asynchronously here. You need a UMID in the sense that you have to be able to log into UMLearn, but everything you're submitting is there. The quizzes, I'm not going to ask for your IDs because it will just take too much time to ask for IDs for what are meant to be short quizzes. Yeah, and so I will talk about this next week, but the idea is that I'm going to be demonstrating to you in the form of what we're doing in class as like a cycle of design, and then implement. And my expectation is that you're going to do the same thing with your projects as you're going through them. If you want to participate in Mentimeters, I like to do Mentimeters a lot. If you are okay using your phone, then you don't need your laptop. If you want to follow along with the exercises I'm doing in class, then I'd recommend you bring your laptop. If you're okay just watching me use IntelliJ, that's also fine. Then you don't need to bring your laptop. But it's not essential that you bring your laptop. No.
What about on Fridays?
On Fridays, you should definitely bring your laptop if you want to get some work done on your project. Yeah. The free one is definitely good enough for this course. I believe students are eligible to get the ultimate version for free, but the free community edition is definitely good enough for this course. Do I see you miserable come reading week? This is a universal truth for all students. It doesn't matter what course we're in. This just happens, and you will probably see me becoming more miserable and tired as it gets closer to reading week, yes. And I think that's it. I think I've answered all the questions. How many should we spend studying outside of lectures? I guess that depends on the kind of person you are. Like I guess anything that I'm going to be asking you to do, I will be demonstrating in class. So, and I'm going to do my best to stick pretty closely to the learning outcomes for the way that I'm going to be assessing you. So, those are things to take a look at there. Oh gosh, okay. So I'm not like planning to ask you to write tons of long sentences. These are meant to be 5-minute quizzes. Paragraphs and essays are just not going to fit in that time. So it's not going to be that kind of a quiz. The quizzes must be done in person. So that the live streaming of lectures here is primarily meant to be, I can't come to class for some reason, like I am sick, and I don't want to make other people sick, or something that I'm not expecting to have happened has happened, or you want to be able to review course material after the class has happened, but the quizzes are meant to be taken in person. I'm doing good. I'm feeling a little bit like I've answered probably too many questions at this point, and you're all getting done with it. Yes, but I'm doing good. It's the weekend. It's the weekend right away, so I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, now I think I'm at the end of this. Yes. Okay, I'm at the end. All right. Yay. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for this. This is not like the end of questions, but I probably won't be like giving you lots of time to ask questions like this. Just about the project overview, but I encourage you to come and talk to me about questions and stuff that you might have through the course. All right, so let's write some code. What I want to do with this is, like I said, dust our fingers off a little bit with Java code. My goal here is that I want to write a basic class with an entry point. So I want to remember how to type in public static void main string args. I want to write some code that uses scanner to read a file. This is something that you would have done in kind of the middle of 1020, I think, when you were working through that stuff. I want to write a static method with some variables. So a static method that does something. And I want to be able to write a couple of classes that use this idea of encapsulation. So visibility of instance members and visibility of instance methods, and how instance methods are operating on an instance of a class. I'm going to be doing this using VS Code for today. This is just 1020 review. There's nothing new here, I guess, with the exception of the var keywords, but I'll describe that when I get to it. But there's nothing like unexpected here. I am going to be using a file. If we get to this point on the course webpage, I've put a link under today's lecture section to this Git repository, Java Review. If you click on this, it's going to take us to GitLab. And the file that I'm going to be using here is called words.txt. If you want to follow along with the example that I'm going to do using words.txt, There's a download button here that you can click, and then make sure that words.txt is in the same folder as the Java files that we're going to be writing, so that you'll be able to work with that. So I'm going to pop over to VS Code. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. At the back, is this big enough of a font for you to see? Yes. Okay, awesome. So the very first thing that I want to do here is write a simple class. I really just want to do hello world. That's the main goal that I have here right now. So I'm going to make a class called public class hello. I'm going to save it. We got to name our class files the same as the class itself. I'm going to say, and I would like us all to say this together now, please, because I know you all know the words. I'm going to start the cadence, and then you can join in whenever you feel like it, but I insist that you join in here. Public, static, void, main, string, args. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Public, static, void, main, string, args. This is a small digression, but modern versions of Java, the most recent view, have made it so that you no longer have to have a class, nor do you have to have public static void main. You just have void main, and that's it. It's cool, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use public static void main string args. Then I'm going to say system.out.println hello comp 2450. Done. We did hello world. Excellent. Yes. Thank you all for following along with that. I'm going to save this. And then to make sure that I can actually run it, I'm going to hit the run button. Good. We got hello comp 2450 there. Are we all good with this still? Okay. I am going to make a new class. I'm going to save this one immediately, and I'm going to save it as dictionaryreader.java. I have this in a folder. I have this in a folder that's called Java Review here. And inside of this folder, I have that file that was in the Git repository that I linked to that's called words.txt. I'm using my shell here. We don't have to worry about that. All I want to show you is that I have a folder here that has dictionaryreader.java and words.txt in the same folder. They're in the same folder. I'm going to make a main method here. So public static void main string args. And what I want to do with this is I want to start writing some code that is going to use scanner to read the file itself. I want to read lines from the file. I'm just going to print them out. I'm not going to do anything with them. I just want to read the lines from the file. So the very first thing I'm going to do with this is use try catch block. I'm opening a file, so I have to use this try catch block to make sure that I am handling any exceptions that are raised when I'm working with this file. I'm going to use try catch block, and I'm going to look for your feedback here. That is try with resources. Have you seen this before? Putting parenthesis immediately after the word try. Just a quick thumbs up or thumbs down. You've seen this before? Okay, I'm seeing many more thumbs up than thumbs down. The idea here is that if I put in parenthesis something that I'm opening, like a file, I won't have to close it later. It will automatically be closed on my behalf. So I'm going to say try. I'm going to use this var keyword. I'm declaring a variable here, var. I don't have to specify what the type is. I could say scanner, sc equals new scanner, and then I'm going to say paths.of words.txt. So this is in the same directory that I'm in right now. Var is just taking away the type in the declaration. It's the same code. It's completely the same code. I just don't have to type scanner out again here. This becomes valuable when you're doing things like making types that have really long type descriptions, so you don't have to retype that whole thing again. Paths.of is maybe something you haven't seen before. This is synonymous to synonym new file with the file name. Paths.of is a synonym to new file with a file name. Once I do that, I'm going to make this go away so that I can see everything on my screen here. Once I do that, I'm going to start working with the scanner itself. I'm going to be looping over the contents of this file. And we've got two options for loops here. We've got for loop and we've got a while loop. One of these loops is better than the other for the thing that we're trying to accomplish. The thing that we're trying to accomplish is I would like to read until the end of the file. And so I'm going to ask you on the count of 3, after the beat of 3, to say one of, for, or while here. 1, 2, 3. Good. Everybody said while. I want to use a while loop because I'm working with an event here. The event is there are no more lines left in the file. I don't know how many lines there are in the file, so I want to use a while loop to do that. I'm going to say while sc.hasNextLine. This is a method I can call on scanner to ask whether or not it has a next line. I want to print it out. System.out.println sc.nextLine. As part of my try block, I have to deal with exceptions if they come up. The main exception that's going to come up with this code is that the file does not exist or it cannot be found in the directory with this class. And so what I'm going to say here is catch. What I want to catch, I'm going to use the keyword final. We've seen this, yes? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, good. Okay, so we've seen this keyword final. It says once this has been assigned, I can't assign it again. I'm going to say final IO exception, E. I'm going to put in here e.print stack trace to start. But I'm going to say that this is the wrong thing to put in this catch block. E.print stack trace is helpful for me, and it's helpful for all of us because we know what that stack trace actually means. It is not helpful for my mom. It's not helpful for my dad. It's not helpful for my brother. They don't know what a stack trace is. So I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to start putting a meaningful error message in here. And the meaningful error message that I want to write here is system.error. I want to print this out as an error. System.error.println. I can't find, I'm going to make this a little bit less formal. I can't find words.txt in this directory. I could put some more meaningful information in here to kind of say like what the directory is, but for now, and in the context of we have 2 minutes left in this class, this is good enough for now. The other thing that I want to do when I'm catching this exception is I want to say system.exit. And I'm going to put 1 here. 1 means there was an error when I exited. Basically, I can't do anything with this code, in this code. I can't actually do anything if that file doesn't exist. The exception was raised to me, to the code that I wrote. I can't actually proceed with anything, so I'm just going to exit immediately upon getting that kind of an exception. All right. Are there any questions about this block of code here? Yeah. Paths.get. I think you're right.
There is path.of.
It is get. You are right. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for that. This is me running on my own memory of this. It is paths.get. Okay. On Monday's class, what I want to do is we will quickly do a small, tiny Java class if it's necessary for us to do that. But what I want to say at the end of class here is that at this point, you should know a little bit more about the course project. We will continue to know more about the course project as the term is progressing, but you should also be able to demonstrate some of the learning outcomes that you saw in Comp 1020. I hope that you all have an excellent weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye, everyone.